It's 18 minutes before 7, Metro Morning on CBC Radio 1. Every time the Governor of the Bank of Canada, Stephen Poloz, speaks publicly, there are people who hang on his every word. They, of course, are looking for some sort of signal as to whether he's going to raise or hold interest rates. They'll be listening today as he speaks to the Victoria Chamber of Commerce. According to Armine Yalnizyan, it will be a tough speech to make. Armine, good morning.
Good morning, Matt.
Why is Mr. Poloz in such a tough spot?
Well, the title of his speech that has been signaled so far is "Let Me Be Clear," and clarity is what everybody is hoping for. You know, a few weeks ago, it was like 80% odds that he was going to raise the rates yet again. And last time I looked, it was like 50-50, a coin toss. And the reason for that is because everything has changed since last May, when he couldn't have been more bullish about how the economy's performing really well. Inflation's kind of nipping at our heels, and it's time to raise the rates again. He's raised the rates, or the bank has raised the rates 3 times since last July, last time being in January. We've heard every month that it's time to raise the rates again, but they haven't moved. But since last May's announcement, the world has gone upside down with the impending trade wars. Maybe now you see it, now you don't. Maybe it's going to happen, maybe it won't. And inflation has started to slow, as have retail sales. So it's anybody's guess what he's going to do, because otherwise those 3 rate increases not only didn't hurt the economy, home sales slowed, but everything else seemed to be going on all cylinders.
So if he doesn't raise the rates, what happens?
Well, if he doesn't raise the rates, it still is super easy to borrow. And what happens when it's super easy to borrow is we keep breaking new records on household debt, right? We're now at $1.70 per every dollar of income that we earn. Record high levels of indebtedness just will keep rising. What happens when you've got really low rates is prices go up, asset prices go up, in particular housing. So it's like an indirect way of keeping on pushing up the housing prices. And it also means that those who have money to save and to invest aren't getting returns. And what that does is that nudges them into slightly more risky ways of investing their money. That's a huge problem when you've got the biggest cohort of retirees on the horizon. And what are they going to do with their pension funds? How will that money be invested for them? So it spells trouble if you don't raise the rates. And look, interest rates are lower than they were in the Great Depression, but we're not even in a recession. What are they going to do when we hit a recession? So the risks of raising rates of not raising rates are high, but raising them too fast are also very high, and we're really on shaky ground right now.
And so if he does raise the rates, what does it mean?
Well, obviously higher costs for business, less growth, less job growth, all the things that you don't want to have happen. It showed a slowdown in housing, even more so. Real estate was about half the reason for GDP growth about a year ago. And almost half of all mortgages are due to be renegotiated in the coming years. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get hit with sticker price shock. Some people are worried about a big spike in mortgage foreclosures, but the percentage of mortgages that are in arrears in Canada are near record lows. In Ontario, we're the lowest in the country at 0.1% of mortgages being in arrears. Though in Toronto, there's huge leverage, as we know. About a quarter of all mortgages in Toronto have a loan-to-value ratio of 80%. That is huge, but the worry is if you don't do something, housing prices are going to keep going up. And if you do something, housing prices will decline and people will be have more debt than equity in their houses. We're far away from that situation, but these are the issues we're looking at, and we're looking for a business outlook survey that's coming out on Friday that has been just chugging along. The business sector has been really chuffed, but I can't imagine that that's what it's going to show us on Friday.
So if you were the governor of the Bank of Canada, perhaps you will be at some point in future.
Oh, I doubt it.
More on this to come in a moment. What would you do?
Well, for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm Armenian. I hate taking unnecessary risks, and I wouldn't risk making the economy any weaker now because of those looming trade war threats on the horizon.
You're moving to Ottawa.
I am.
Not to become the governor of the Bank of Canada.
Again, never.
What are you going to be doing?
I've been asked to be the economic policy advisor to the deputy minister that runs the ministry called Employment and Social Development Canada. So for the next year, I'm going to be focusing on the changing nature of work, what that means for Canadian workers, and how federal programs in employment and training and income supports might need to adapt Matt, it's a dream job. I can't tell you. But that said, I'm going to be back in Toronto after the summer. I'm going to be back in Toronto once a month to work with the Atkinson Foundation on a project that's due in the fall. So I'm hoping that we get to talk regularly after that.
Door is always open for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It's exciting news.
It's been a great run with you.
Armine Yalnizyan, one of our regular business commentators, since 2012 on Metro Morning. Yep. She's off to Ottawa for the next year, doing work as well with the Atkinson Foundation. And yes, we'll still be here occasionally on Metro Morning. It's 13 minutes before 7 on CBC Radio.